Leaders from the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia say a peace deal with the Colombian government probably won't happen this year. FARC negotiators say the issues are just too complex. It's taken 2 years to agree on 3 of the 6 agenda items: the drug trade, rural development, and FARC's role in politics. Among the biggest issues still left, how to compensate victims of the country's 50-year civil war. And victims of the Colombian Civil War are awaiting their turn to be heard for the very first time. They'll join the FARC peace talks on Saturday. CCTV's Michelle Begue has the story from Bogota.
60 Colombians will be chosen by the United Nations and Colombia's National University to represent more than 6.2 million registered victims of Colombia's armed conflict. The first group of 12 will arrive in Havana, Cuba on Saturday to discuss compensation for those killed, displaced, or other hardships suffered through the years. But all this has not been without controversy. With 50 years of armed conflict, Colombia has had victims of not only Marxist guerrillas, but also right-winged paramilitaries, and even Colombia's national army. There has been much debate of who should be represented.
There is such a large group of victims without any cohesion that to coordinate their actions is very complicated.
We do believe that if this is a conflict between the state and the FARC, then the victims of the FARC have to take the priority in these conversations.
Clara Rojas was a victim. She was kidnapped and held hostage for 6 years by the country's largest guerrilla group, known as FARC. The new congresswoman stresses the importance of the victims going to Havana.
What we are looking for is that through this conversation, the people can find the truth. That through this mechanism of recognition, maybe they can have some sort of mitigation for the pain, and even obtained information of what happened to their loved ones, those who are disappeared or those who are still kidnapped.
The victims chosen will present testimonies of how they have been impacted by the armed conflict. Experts say this participation is historic.
This is an unprecedented process because, first of all, it's taking place in the middle of the conflict, and second, it is the first process where the victims are invited to participate in the design of the peace process.
The unprecedented move by Colombia means many controversies could arise along the way. For now, the debate has only begun on whether or not Colombia's military, police, and even armed guerrilla groups could also be considered victims of this armed conflict. Michelle Begue, CCTV, Colombia.